Prairie Yard and Garden is a production of the University of Minnesota Morris in cooperation with Pioneer Public Television. Closed captioning is provided by Mark and Margaret Yakel-Julien in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. Shalom Hill Farm, shalomhill.org.
Roses are still cherished by many as one of the best flowers, but the success of growing them has always been a challenge in Minnesota. Are there types of roses that we can grow without all the attention hybrid teas need? What emphasis are rose breeders concentrating on today? Join me on Prairie Yard and Garden as we talk with a rose breeder about the trends in roses. Roses are still the favorite flower for many home gardeners. Today my guest, David Zilliox, is here to talk about some of the new things taking place in rose breeding. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you so much, Larry. It's great to be here with you. Yeah, roses are a national flower. People love them. There's many cultivars that come out every year. So as time goes by, gardeners, landscapers, nursery people begin to learn which roses are the best for low maintenance landscapes that are not chemically dependent on fungicides, insecticides to look good. So that introduces the EarthKind program to us here in the north. EarthKind started in the early to mid 1990s, and it's a program out of Texas A&M University, an extension-based program that provides research-based recommendations for environmental stewardship of the ornamental landscape. So there's different aspects of what became focuses of the EarthKind program, including cultural practices, nutrient management, how to use compost, yard waste, bring back to the ornamental landscape to reduce pollution from overuse of inorganic fertilizers, best use that material back in the landscape, and best provide mulch, temperature control, things that we're used to when we think of using mulch and other things. Roses became the flagship crop for EarthKind cultivar evaluation. So as we're looking for a model crop where there's a lot of diversity for pest tolerance, performance in a particular region, something that people love, roses came to the forefront. So if we can take these roses with good reputations for landscape use and put them in common plantings and arrange them with all the correct randomization for statistics and science-based analysis, then we could find those roses that perform above average across a whole region and recommend them to homeowners, landscapers, as plants that you're highly likely to be successful with given basic plant care.
We're in one of those plots here in Minnesota. Where are others located?
So in 2007, I started the northern branch of the EarthKind Rose program with collaborators. So we have 20 cultivars that have really good reputations in the north, planted here in Rosemont, Minnesota, and the same planting and the same cultivars in Moorhead, Minnesota, Crookston, Minnesota, as well as Ames, Iowa. In addition, there are some plantings in a mountainous region in Zone 3 in Colorado, Kansas, and in Texas to see how far south some of these northern adapted roses can perform well.
And we're talking about roses. Does this include hybrid teas and the shrub roses, climbing roses? Is it the whole gamut?
So the main focus was roses that had enough hardiness and pest resistance to be good landscape performers in our region. And most of those roses are shrub roses. A few of them are climbers though too.
And Specifically, what are you looking for as you select these varieties? Is it disease the primary emphasis, or is it insects, or is it cultural?
It's everything. So for the EarthKind evaluation program, what we do is incorporate compost before we plant the roses. And in previous research with soil scientists, we learned just the benefit of compost for nutrient holding capacity, microbial activity, and just other aspects. So we add compost pre-plant into the native soil, and then we plant the roses and maintain a 3-inch layer of organic mulch, tree trimming debris that's ground up, whatever we can get our hands on. So there isn't any additional inorganic fertilizers applied. During the first year of establishment, the roses are watered well, so they establish well. And then data is taken in seasons 2 through 4 to see what really persists, what endures in our regional landscape with local pest pressure and also whatever the winter throws at us.
As we look at a planting here, the idea is to concentrate those roses up so that the pressure gets higher than normal?
Right, so as we look at this planting, the roses are on 6-foot centers. There's 20 cultivars in the Northern EarthKind trial program right now. So in each of these 4 different planting beds, there's one each of the 20 cultivars randomized. So over time, without spraying fungicides, different diseases build, different insects build, and we see what roses have resistance to these local pests.
What has been your observation over the first 4 years?
Oh, great question. So we definitely have the pests. So we have black spot, we have leaf spot, we have insects that come and eat the foliage of the roses. So that's good. That's what we want, because we want to see what roses are more resistant than other roses in order to recommend to homeowners. Ultimately, in the homeowner garden, they're not going to have the disease pressure likely as what we have here. So the roses will do even better in that situation. So we see variability for resistance among these roses for these different pests, and some of the roses are doing comparatively better year after year.
The press this year talked about Japanese beetles being a major pest in the Twin City areas. Have they invaded here in Rosemont?
They're just starting. So we're seeing some Japanese beetles in my own garden. I have a lot of them. So fortunately, there's variability for resistance or preference of these roses to Japanese beetles. The site in Ames, Iowa has a lot of beetle pressure, and they're documenting those preferences. So early on, the message was, all roses are comparatively susceptible. They love roses, grapes, linden trees, and on the list goes.
Sure.
But we're finding variability for preference of Japanese beetles to roses, and as time goes by, we'll have a stronger data set and be able to have some recommendations.
No insecticide's ever been used to control Japanese beetle or any other insect in these plots?
Correct. In this plot, right, yep, no insecticides have been used.
Or fungicides in the case of leaf diseases?
Correct.
Well, they're looking mighty well, and I suspect that over the 4 or 5 years that the plot's been here, that there are some varieties that have been eliminated?
Right, some have died out. There's some bare spaces here just because they weren't reliably hardy enough. Some cultivars, we have just 1 plant left, and the other 3 have died. Some have been weakened severely by disease over the years and are barely alive. So what we really want to identify are those roses that persist in the regional landscapes, that are regionally adapted. At the end of these trials, after all the data's in, eventually we'll be able to recommend roses as EarthKind designated roses for our region.
And what is the goal then? Is there an organization that's going to publish this so that it's available to the public?
Exactly. So the data that we take, years 2 through 4, once a month, we go through the beds here. We look at ornamental appeal, flower coverage, how many of the leaves have fallen due to disease, plant habit, and other aspects. So that'll be published in a scientific article. And then as time goes by, we'll be able to be confident about what roses we should recommend as EarthKind designated roses to our region. There may be some roses that we'd recommend for a particular portion of the region. If the soil pH is high, maybe some roses aren't that well adapted and become chlorotic. So we'll make those little extra notes around some of these cultivars if that's the case for them.
Well, David, what are some of those varieties that are doing very well that you consider very successful?
Let me show you some that have some promise. There's some right over here. Well, here, Larry's one rose that's showing some promise. This one's called Bright Eyes. Bright Eyes has very healthy foliage, beautiful blooms. The blooms are semi-double, so there's about 15 or 20 petals, a nice yellow base to the petals as it opens. The color transitions to pink and then almost a purple mauve. There's a nice light fragrance to this plant. The plant's nice and symmetric, rounded and mounded. It's marketed as a climber down south, but up here in the north, it'll die back to near the ground, but come back very strong and make this wonderful shrub by fall. There's a little bit of insect injury, but it's not marring the foliage very much at all. It's enduring the insect pressure, disease pressure. You can see all the flowers that this plant has had. It's a little marginal for hardiness here in Zone 4, but after the plant's established, it's been coming back strong from the base each spring. So it's a really good performer.
Would you take this one any further north than the Twin Cities?
Further north, a lot of the plants have died out. In this trial here in Rosemont, 3 of the 4 plants have died out. This is the one that's endured. So as it's become more mature, it's been able to overwinter better, which is great. So if a person has a slightly protected yard, I think Bright Eyes would be a very good choice. It's showing a lot of promise in our trials. In addition, another one showing a lot of promise is this one here called Polar Joy. Polar Joy is a large growing plant. It has a lot of flowers throughout the growing season, hundreds and hundreds of these 2-inch nice single pink blooms. The plant tops out at about 5-6 feet tall, is very hardy, a little cane dieback in the spring, just tidy up the dead material. It has real good disease resistance too. Near the middle to end of summer, as we're facing right now, it still has most of its foliage, blooming strong. Polar Joy is a really good performer.
Well, and I like that light pink. I think that would look well in most people's yards.
Yeah, good complement to other typical flower colors in our garden.
And it's fairly compact.
Yeah, it makes a good symmetric, rounded, mounded plant. And so it's reminiscent of our wild roses being single and pink, but we'll have that rebloom throughout the growing season. Other good performers include Carefree Beauty. Carefree Beauty is a rose that was bred by Dr. Griffith Buck at Iowa State University, and it's what we call our control rose. So it won that EarthKind designation in the south. It was bred in Zone 5, Ames, Iowa. So we include it in every trial as our reference, so we compare the data relative to this common rose. So it's performing relatively well. Here in Minnesota too, it dies back but comes back strong, big semi-double pink blooms. Other roses that are doing exceptional so far include one called Prairie Joy. We have Polar Joy and then another one, Prairie Joy. Prairie Joy was bred in Morden, Manitoba, just north of us.
Sure.
It's holding on to its foliage really well over there. Nice, very double, soft pink blooms, very healthy plant. It's a little stingy for repeat bloom, but it's definitely showing some repeat bloom. But for its health, wonderful performance, it's hard to beat. Additionally, there's some roses that were bred at the University of Minnesota by Kathy Zuzek that are short and compact. They have lots of little blooms, and their names are Sven, Lena, and Oli. Oli's doing especially well, and the others are doing well too. They're quite short, between knee-high and waist-high, well-branched, hundreds of little blooms between 1 and 2 inches across. Sven's a double purple with good fragrance. Oli's a double soft pink that changes to white. And then Lena's a single rose that's kind of a soft pink white reminiscent of apple blossoms.
And they've been on the market for what, a few years?
A few years. There's an additional rose that got entered into the series this spring called Sigrid. Sigrid's a double dark pink to light red. And so we're getting that rose into the EarthKind pipeline. So these roses that we have here are part of the official trial. These roses have been in the ground 5 years already at this location. Nurseries want to get their roses into the pipeline. We want to get more roses in the pipeline to identify those very special roses that have regional adaptability. So we have over 60, 70 varieties pumped into that pipeline, and we're getting ready for a new collection of roses for an official trial with the appropriate spacing and EarthKind parameters. So out of those 60, 70 varieties, those that are showing promise for enough hardiness, enough pest resistance in our public gardens where they're planted in somewhat close proximity, we'll get those into the official trials.
And you have a couple other spots here at Umore Park where you have roses. You'll be selecting from those particular plots to come into this display area here?
Exactly. Yep. We call it the EarthKind observational trials. So we're observing their performance. These nurseries are located in different parts of the country. So as they begin to market and sell roses across the nation, we don't have a lot of information yet of how they really do up here in Minnesota, Wisconsin. So we get them in these observational trials, see which ones survive the winter, have some pest tolerance, and then we can filter them into the EarthKind pipeline. If they clearly don't, we won't use our limited resources to put them in these official trials.
Can you share some of the information about those potential ones at this point?
Larry, let me show you some of the EarthKind observational roses planted over there, and some of the roses that are showing promise I'd love to highlight. They have the potential to move their way into official EarthKind plantings in the future. So some of those varieties that I'll show you over there include Carefree Spirit. Carefree Spirit won the All-America Rose Selection Award a couple years back, and it's one of the first roses to win that award under their no spray system. So All-America Rose Selection moved to no spray for their shrub roses. They kept spraying their other classes of roses, and this is the first rose to win an award. It's a shrub rose under no spray.
Well, that's exciting news.
Yeah, exposing ourselves, our families to pesticides, and if we miss or if it's extra wet weather and that washes off, there we have disease again.
So where did Carefree Spirit evolve from?
It was bred in France.
Really?
Yeah, by the House of Meand, a family whose name is Meand. And they're known for the Peace Rose, the famous hybrid tea. Francis Meand came up with peace in the 1940s. At the end of World War II, it was named Peace in honor of peace. So the family kept breeding roses. They have their nursery, and they have a connection with an American nursery to get some of their best varieties into the U.S. market. So that's where Carefree Spirit came from. In addition, there's the Drift series of roses. They're short, compact roses with small to medium-sized blooms that are wonderful for small places in our gardens. They're showing great health, great bloom potential throughout the season. The series comes in a number of different colors. There's coral drift, sweet drift, red drift, peach drift, and they're all showing pretty good promise.
Now, when you say that they're small, what's that definition?
Yeah, good question. They're about 2 feet across, maybe 1 foot high, nice mounded small plant that we can easily include in our perennial beds. Great color throughout the season, so they're showing good promise. Sunny Knockout. The Knockout series includes multiple different varieties of roses under that umbrella that's known for extra health and disease resistance, pest resistance. Sunny Knockout is showing to be a little bit hardier than the original Knockout, and the hardiness has been one of the issues with the original Knockout here in colder zones. So the Knockout series came out, the original one in 2000. It elevated the bar for disease resistance out there, what's possible, and it really invigorated rose growing as a low maintenance landscape shrub. And another couple of varieties, Larry, that's showing great promise include Morning Magic. It's a relative of this rose here, Bright Eyes, by the same breeder out of the Milwaukee area, Bill Rattler. Bright Eyes has very large, semi-double apricot-colored blooms that reblooms nicely throughout the summer. It's also classified as a climber down south, but in our climate, it'll freeze back to about a foot or so without protection and make a great rounded, mounded shrub. In addition, there's another variety called the Charlatan. The Charlatan has nice single soft pink blooms, but what makes it really stand out are the red stamens. So the male portion of the flower have a real nice dark color that contrasts great with the background of the soft pink petals. And both of them are relatively healthy, bloom great throughout the summer, and show potential.
Well, David, I have the William Baffin in my roses at home. Is that in this collection of EarthKind roses?
It's in the official trial. It's over here. So William Baffin is a climber that's been on the market for a couple decades. It's a staple for the north, as you know. You have it in your garden.
Right.
Good hardiness. It's a plant that can build in size, not freeze back too far, and give us that height that we need for climbers in the north. William Baffin here, as we're looking at this plant, has lost a lot of foliage, and it's due to a disease called leaf spot. As we look at the foliage here on this branch, you can see these dark spots on the leaves. Roses can get black spot, which is a very common disease. This disease is a little different, and leaf spot has a lighter center to the lesion, and roses like William Baffin and many of the others that are part of the Explorer series, named after people that had some part of the discovery or exploration in North America, are particularly susceptible to this disease. William Baffin still grows, as we see, still relatively hardy, blooms great in the spring. Later in the summer, it looks a little shabby in our trial, but still is an overall good rose. Here at Umore Park, besides the EarthKind gardens, we have a wonderful larger display garden just a little bit over there. So we have a lot of disease pressure in this garden. It makes a great opportunity to have our EarthKind trials here, because we have a lot of the different pests that roses are susceptible to.
Well, can we take a look at the display garden and see what's doing well in that particular plot?
Definitely.
I have a question. I have a shady area in my yard that is really difficult to grow grass. Can you think of some varieties of grass that would grow well in that area?
Carex pennsylvanica is something you should think about growing. Pennsylvania sedge or sun sedge is a great plant to grow in shady, dry conditions where you can't grow a lawn. This plant is only about a foot tall, and it starts to grow early in the spring. It'll flower in the springtime, but the flowers are not very significant. And then it stays low and mound-like all summer long. This is also a good plant to put on a mound septic system. It's very tolerant of dry conditions, and it will grow in full sun, as you see it here at the Arboretum. So Pennsylvania sedge is a good plant to consider if you don't want to mow under a shady area or you want something to grow short in a dry, sunny area. Pennsylvania sedge.
Ask the Arboretum Experts has been brought to you by the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum in Chanhassen, dedicated to enriching lives through the appreciation and knowledge of plants.
Well, David, here we're in the display garden. How many roses do you have here at Rosemont?
The main rose garden here has over 400 plants. Norma Booty and her committee are the ones that manage this garden, and so I've had the joy over the years to help her a little bit with it. So it's just a wonderful collection of roses, old and recent varieties that have enough hardiness to endure this windy, open area. So there's a lot of old roses that just bloom once in the spring. There's some species roses here, some of the newer cultivars. One of the newer cultivars that we're in front of is one called High Voltage. And High Voltage is a yellow rose that repeats bloom, quite healthy, has pretty good crown hardiness. It's hard to combine all those different traits into a single rose. It's hard to find yellow roses that repeat bloom and have all these traits. But high voltage is one that came on the market just a couple years ago and is showing great promise.
Well, yeah, very clean foliage, and other than the honeybee that was here, probably a few insects problems.
Yeah, it's showing great performance so far in the EarthKind observational trials too. So it has more of a look of a traditional hybrid tea rose or grandiflora rose, a long stem here that you can make a great cut flower with. So it's great that breeders are making good progress towards combining larger flower size, health, and hardiness. In addition, in this garden, there's a few other roses that I'd love to highlight. They include Frau Dagmar Hartop. It's an old rugosa, about 100 years old. Rugosa roses have thick rugose foliage, typically a compact, rounded habit without pruning. Rosa rugosa as a species is native to northern Asia, along the coast of Japan and China, quite hardy in our region. Frau Dagmar Hartop is one that has persisted with really good disease resistance over decade after decade, and particularly has a good symmetric habit.
And what color is that rose?
A very soft pink, beautiful single blooms, soft pink, wonderful fruit production. Rose hips are produced on it. We could see some rose hips developing on the plant in the garden here today. In addition, we have a great plant of blushing knockout over there. The knockout series, as we talked about, really set the stage for the expectation for plant health, what's possible in our landscape roses. So it freezes back pretty far but comes back strong. We could see how well it's rebounded by the end of the summer. In addition, there's Sunrise Sunset, another nice, wonderful spreading landscape shrub, multicolored blooms, good performance. Also, My Heroes over there. It's a red rose that's very disease resistant, healthy, good crown hardiness as well.
And these roses here, do they get any different care than in our EarthKind areas?
It's very comparable. So they don't have the compost included pre-plant in this garden. There are some inorganic fertilizers that are used, but there's no sprays. So they're not sprayed preventatively with fungicides or insecticides.
Now, you call this a display garden. Is this open to the public?
It is. The public is welcome to come out to Umore Park. Please come. It's open from sunrise to sunset. It's in Rosemont, Minnesota here on Highway 46, just a little bit east of the intersection with Highway 3.
Well, David, I want to thank you for sharing this knowledge of the rose display garden and this EarthKind concept that's growing and probably will be a part of roses in the future.
Closed captioning is provided by Mark and Margaret Yackel-Julien in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. Shalom Hill Farm, shalomhill.org.